Welcome to Inside the Other Dimension with Damon, Penny, and Ben Winfield. We take you further down the paranormal rabbit hole, looking deeper into strange happenings in the dark. We explore why the paranormal is such a mystery, and we package it all up for the truth. Odds. Sit back, relax, and get weird. Only on Inside the Other Dimension.
Well, that went wrong. That's a good start. Welcome, boys and girls. How you doing? Out to all the Patreoners out there. Welcome to the show. It's Inside the Other Dimension. And tonight, while we wait for Ben Winfield, you've got just me, lonely old me. But have I got a show in store for you tonight? And for all you Patreoners that are locked in, listening right now, all I got to say to you is make sure you tune into the main show at 7 o'clock over there on Pulse Talk Radio. Now, little bit of housework to do before we actually get into the show. Now, don't forget the show is now officially sponsored. We got 2 sponsors on the show now. We have B Paranormal Equipment, bespoke built paranormal equipment just for you guys. And if you need it for your ghost hunting, we're talking SLS cameras, we're talking REM pods, we're talking crazy stuff. If you want to get into that, head over to search B Paranormal on Facebook. Let them know that you're a listener of the show. Especially if you're a Patreoner, head yourself over there and you get a 20% discount on every purchase. This is equipment built for you guys. You can have it built. I mean, I've just ordered, well, one of the family members has just ordered a REM pod and it's being built as we speak. Proper stuff, guys. Also, our second sponsor for the show, head over to Slates and Bone on Facebook. That's my co-host, Ben Winfield. That's his company. They do bespoke paranormal stuff. They do slate carvings. They do sort of like necklaces and jewelry and loads of stuff over there. Head over to Slate and Bone on Facebook, and listeners of the show get a special discount. We're not going to say a percentage, but let's just say it's a good discount. Very, very good discount. Now, before we go any further, I want to thank all the Patreoners that have been with us for a long time. You guys are amazing. You've kept the lights on here in the studio 1 and Studio 2. You've allowed me to buy all this better equipment so I'm able to, give you guys a better quality of video. You've been amazing. You've been so amazing throughout the year this year. I know I had a bit of a meltdown a little while ago, but I mean, I'm back on the other side now. And with the Patreoners, we're coming back bigger and better for you lot next year. It's going to be so amazing. Trust me on that one, bruv. You know what I'm saying? That's the East London coming out of me. Trust me on that one. So, yeah, big thing. I want to say thank you to you guys. Everyone that supports us on Facebook, I know we've been quiet. I'm getting into like the whole Viking drawing thing. So I've been doing a lot of that lately, sort of like, respect to the gods and all that sort of thing. So I've been a bit quiet, but I am going to be posting for you guys a lot more when I get 5-10 minutes. Being a dad of 5 is hard work. I feel so sorry for my partner. She, bless her heart, she does so well with the kids. Massive respect to have to her. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there would be no show. Right now, she's downstairs looking after the kids while I'm up here doing this. So you guys should be thanking them a hell of a lot. That's all I've got to say about that. So big shouts out to you. But yeah, we're live. With the last show of 2021, people. And you know what? We got to toast this. Shiznay. So big shouts out to you guys. Honestly, you've been amazing. Now we're going to get into this tonight. We're talking. Hold on a second. Let me have a swig of the beer. Right. We'll talk about prophecies. We're going to talk about. Now, people sort of like sit there and think to themselves, prophecies and predictions. Does it really come into the paranormal umbrella? Yes, it does. It really does. If you think about it, prophecies and predictions, they can come to you in many ways. You can have prophecies and predictions where you get them as dreams. You can have them as foresight. Some mediums even believe they can contact spirits that tell them about the future. I mean, personally, I don't believe that happens. It goes against all spirit law. All this sort of enveloping with different sort of spiritual planes and adjusting the outcome of the future and stuff like that. It doesn't make too much sense, but there has been mediums that predict that. You also have time travelers. You know, people sit there and go, Damon, you've gone crazy, man. Why are you talking about time travelers? Honestly, guys, get on Google, search time slips. We had a show on here with Craig Maloney on The Other Dimension where we was talking about time slips, and he come out with these stories that blew my mind. These are people that have been seen in different centuries, like hundreds of years apart, and I think it exists, and I think that comes under predictions and that time slips and stuff like that. So you can't talk about predictions unless you talk about the main guy, you know, the dude who does the prophecies. Like you're talking about Nostradamus. Now, I've been getting into his book recently. For everyone who wants to go and grab this book. It's the complete prophecies. It contains all the quatrains that he's ever done based on century base. You got century 1 up to century 7, and then you got some extra bits in the back of the book. Now, a couple of bits I want to pull out for this for you. It's quite cool. He has something called the Almanacs, which is what he written between 1564 and 1567. Now, these are more sort of, because people always talk about Nostradamus as if he's sort of too broad in his predictions. You know, you look at the fact that he writes in 4 lines, and what sort of information can you get from 4 lines, and you can sort of make them 4 lines suit whoever sort of is reading it. Do you know what I mean? It's a very broad spectrum of what Nostradamus does. But what people don't realize is that with Nostradamus, they seem broad, his predictions, but they're not. They're very much on point, because he contains a lot of sort of specific information in some of them. Like, for instance, I'm just going to flick to a page. Let me just show you, for instance, right? So, I have no idea what prediction this was, but we can see and try and work it out together, I suppose. It says, the stinking, abominable disgrace, after the dead he will be congregated. The great excuse for not being favourable, that Neptune will not be persuaded to peace. Now, that to me, there's some really specific points in that. You know, you got the fact that he mentions Neptune being the great god Poseidon. So he's talking about the sea, you see. He's also talking about a stinking, abominable disgrace. So it's something that is not just bad. It's something that really sticks out. You know, you've got to look at the specifics in Nostradamus's predictions. You can't just look at the whole 4 quatrains. You've got to look at the specifics. Like I said, talking about Neptune. Neptune is always known as Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea. Neptune can also mean, I think it means peace. You know, because it's a blue planet, isn't it, Neptune? So it sort of talks about peace, blue always being the color of peace and stuff like that. The other points you got to pull out of the book of Nostradamus is the letter that he wrote to his son. It's in the first. I think it's in the first appendix. Actually, he talks about how he explains to his son. It's a preface by Nostradamus about his prophecies, how he gets his prophecies. Now, when we look at Nostradamus and you look at what he writes here, he says to his son, "This is not just me picking out random things. It's not just me looking at what the world's going to be in the future. It's Nostradamus sort of looking and explaining to his son how he gets these prophecies. Now, these prophecies are not just pulled out of thin air. He believes it's a combination of spiritualism and divine intervention. For people that don't know what divine intervention is, we talk about that, you know, speaking directly to God. I'm pretty sure at the time of 1553, when he was started writing these prophecies all the way up. So I think he went all the way through to like 1588 or 15 something, but he was writing them for a long time. And I'm pretty sure at that time they were very much a Christian belief system. More specific, you know, that Judeo-Christian sort of belief system. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Nostradamus in the papers recently. There's a really cool website that I checked out, and it actually tells you the 10 times that Nostradamus was correct. Now, I've lost the website, but I know that he predicted the Second World War. He predicted Hitler's coming, because he said that a child born out of wedlock, born in a country that he was not to serve. Now, let's look at Hitler in general. Now, I don't really like touching on the subject of Hitler. It's a bit touchy, you know what I'm saying? But if you look at Hitler in general, he was born out of wedlock. His parents were not married when he was born. And he was born to serve from a different country. He was Austrian. Hitler was Austrian. He wasn't German. Even though he served the German Nazi Party, the National Socialist Party. I can't even say that. National Socialist Party. He wasn't German. He was Austrian born. Oh, and by the way, for people that actually sort of for that fallacy that he only had one ball, it's true. One of them got shot off during World War One, if I remember rightly. So I could be right. I could be wrong. I'm sure I read that somewhere. But yeah. Also, when we talk about prophecies, now the one that sort of sticks out. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember back in I think it was 2012, we had the whole prophecy of the Mayan calendar. You know, the world was going to end. Now, let me just get down deep into this because this is something that people don't realize. Now, the Mayan calendar, even though it was written in years, you know, we had year 1, year 2, year 3, and so on and so forth, and the calendar sort of went down in them years, and it predicted all these things happening at certain times, and they did come true. But with the end of the world, what you have to realize is with the Mayan calendar, it was actually written on an astrological calendar, not a Christian-based calendar that we're based on now. Now, we base our years on 365 days a year. You know, you have January, February, all the way up to December. Now, bearing in mind, a lot of them, a lot of the years we have and the days of the week actually come from pagan beliefs. You know, Thursday, for instance, that was actually translated from Viking. That was Thor's Day, which was supposed to be Thor's. You know, what's the other one? There was a Roman emperor who was named after October as well. So the calendar that we live on right now, the way in which the calendar sort of, it's a mishmash of old historical beliefs all put into one. It's sort of like, you know, it's a bit Roman. You have Viking, you have pagan, you have heathen beliefs in there. You have the Christian side of things, you know, Sunday being the holy day. And that's where we get the idea of having a holiday. It comes from the word holy day, which was Sunday was always said to be a holy day. That's why people like Ragnar Lothbrok, Eric the Great, the Vikings used to attack and pillage towns on a Sunday because the soldiers at the time, they weren't allowed to bring weapons into the church. It was seen as sacrilegious. It was seen as something that's very, very bad. So actually the weapons outside to go into church, and that's why they attacked on a Sunday, on a holy day, because they knew that the men inside the church would not be armed. I think that's how they took York, actually. I think they took that on a Sunday. I think Eric the Dane took that on Sunday, which is, I mean, it was sort of the thing. I think the Christians sort of jumped on that after a while. But anyway, back to the Mayan calendar. Now, I don't know the exact maths, but I know that the Mayan calendar run on an astrological calendar. Now, bearing in mind the way that I think it's got something to the axis of the Earth and the way it spins around the sun, it doesn't actually complete a full circle in 365 days. That's why we have daylight saving time. We have the +1 hour and the -1 hour, depending on whether it's winter or summer. That's because the Earth doesn't do a full rotation in 365 days. Now, if you base it on an astrological calendar, I think the prediction for the end of the world is something like 2112, more than 2012. So if you base it around that, I mean, the Mayans weren't actually wrong. Like, you had a lot of people when they made the prediction based on the Mayan calendar, that they were wrong because the end of the world didn't come in 2012. But see, the problem with that is they were basing it on without being completely disrespectful, they based it on a made up calendar. Our calendar is put together by so many different sort of niches of history. You know, like I said, Thor's Day being Thursday, you know, there is another day of the week named after another Viking goddess. I can't remember what it was. Oh, no, sorry. Friday was named after Freya because it was called Freya Day. So now it's Friday, you know, see, so you had Caesar Octavius, I think his name was the emperor what October was named after. So the calendar is a mishmash. So if we go back to the original Mayans, the Mesopotamians, the Sumerians, even the Egyptians had a different calendar to what we have now. When they first come about, they sort of adopted the sort of the Judeo-Christian sort of calendar based towards the end of the Egyptian times, when Christians were about. But these sort of, they always lived by the astrological sort of terms. You know, they didn't have 24 hours in a day. They had day and night. So based on depending on what time they were, whether they're in summer and winter, the days were longer than their nights. So their prophecies are based on a astrological calendar. So we can't base them on the calendar that we have nowadays, because it's almost like turning around and saying, why didn't the Romans have electric? You know, we base a lot of our technology on um, ancient civilizations, i.e., you know, we have a sewage system that is based on something that the Romans had. The Romans were the first to have a sewage system. Also, the Romans were the first to have fridges. They used to have like sort of like a pantry where they kept all their raw meat. Used to cover it in tomatoes because the vinegar in it stopped it from um, going green, because you weren't allowed to eat green meat back then. And they used to cover it in like a tomato juice to stop it from going green. And I'm completely digressing here, but I'm really enjoying it. I feel like I'm sitting and talking to myself. I really am. So they created the fridge. You know, we took their idea of the pantry and moved it to the fridge. Now, so a lot of our history, a lot of our predictions, not predictions, a lot of our sort of new age things like fridges and stuff like that, and sewage systems, and the way even it comes down to the way that the towns and cities are laid out is based on Roman and based on Greek style. So we've taken a lot from history, but what we don't take into consideration is when we're doing predictions with like sort of the Mayans, the Mesopotamians, the Sumerians. Bearing in mind there are a lot of Sumerian scratchings. If you go to Pimaponka, which is I think is in South America, there are scratchings on the wall there, like etchings. They're not called hieroglyphs; they're called something else when they're cave scratchings. I can't remember the exact name for it. But there's predictions of them. I don't know if people have ever seen them. You can type them in Google and have a look. They do predictions of like these gods coming down to visit the human race, and with the human race, the gods on the pictures, they look like astronauts. And it is mind blowing because you think like these are people that lived thousands of years ago, and they're drawing these spacesuits that we only created. I think it was in the 60s the first spacesuit was actually sort of invented. And so you talk about predictions and prophecies, like these people are making drawings. I mean, we get told a lot. This is another sort of thing that comes under prophecies and predictions, but sort of a bit digressing, going off topic. The Vikings themselves, because I'm heavily into all that at the moment. The Vikings themselves, they were said to only have made it as far as, you know, the Middle East. They were only made it as far as Europe, into like the UK, which was split up into different sort of sections. Then you had Mercia and Wessex and York and sort of that sort of thing. And they made it to France. And back in then times, it was called Francia. And the capital of Francia was Paris. So, but people don't realize the Vikings made it as far as America. They were one of the first sort of civilizations to discover America, you know, and they never got credit with that. And I find that's a bit, you know, a bit disgusting, but it is what it is. But yeah, when we talk about the Mayans, the Mesopotamians, the Sumerians are as much as advanced as our civilization is today, because we are advanced. We've got computers that can do things that twice as fast that we can do with our hands. You know, we've got artificial intelligence, we've got nanobot technology, we have what's the new one? Anti-gravitational machines, which are supposed to be back engineered from alien craft, which we're gonna have Andy McGrillen on the show soon, and we're gonna be talking to him about that. I want to talk to him about back engineering. And the whole story with that. That's going to be really cool, but I'm not going to get into that tonight. Maybe on the second half, because I'm going to do prophecies and predictions on this half. We're going to have a short word from our sponsors, and then I'm going to move on to the second half of the show, where we're going to sit here and I'm going to talk about my predictions for the next the comings and what they're based on. Right. So I've got some biggers. So yeah. So we've got all this technology, and we're unable to ascertain and open our minds to a point. You know, the human brain, we only use 8% of the human brain. If you open that just by 0.5%, you would realize that the Mesopotamians, the Mayans, the Sumerians, all these ancient civilizations did not live on the same calendar as we do. They didn't live January to December. They didn't live 24 hours in a day or Monday to Sunday. They didn't live anything like that. They lived astrologically. They was guided by the stars. And you know what they say, people? I've said it on the show so many times, right? Yeah, from all the occult teachings that I've learned. Yeah, millionaires study the stock market. Billionaires study the stars. It's a true story. I'm going to take a swig on that. Oh, by the way, Happy New Year, everyone. We're here. Now, we have other predictions that come forward. Apart from Nostradamus, you had... I'm trying to think of them now. I did write them down, but I've left all my notes downstairs. There were a lot of predictions. We always get the prediction that the world's going to end, and they base it on occult teachings, occult philosophy. They think, people like Plato or Socrates and people like that. The ancient Greek philosophers. They base their teachings and they base their their predictions around that. Now, without going into my predictions, I'm going to try and keep them for the second half of the show. It was always a natural disaster that was gonna, it was gonna ruin the world. I mean, if you've ever studied Dante's Inferno and you look at the fact that, I think from the Second World War we had the baby boom, didn't we? And the population doubled, right? Now, I think that was from the 40s to the 50s, and then from the 50s to 55 we doubled again, then to 57 we doubled again. And I think we're on something like 8 billion people on the planet now. And the planet can, according to the Georgia Guidestones, right? This is another thing when it comes to prophecies and predictions. The Georgia Guidestone says in black and white that the planet can only be sustainable based on a population of 500,000. Now, can you imagine how many people we're going to have to lose for that to happen? You have the conspiracy theorists that talk about this COVID virus that's going around, and I'm sure everybody listening now knows at least 2 or 3 people that have got this Omicron variant. Or, in America, if you guys are locked in America, you sort of... What's Neil Pearson saying? From Red. Oh, okay. Cool, man. Good to have you locked in. Yeah, and the George Guidestone says you've got to maintain... The civilization can only be maintained at 500,000. I mean, and the conspiracy theorists will say this COVID is like a human culling. I don't know if I believe that personally. I've had 2 vaccines. I seem okay. I mean, I did try and I did the other day. I did put the kettle in the fridge and kept the milk on the side. And you English guys know out there that you don't do that. But I put that down to tiredness, not down to vaccine. So, but it's a touchy subject, COVID, especially when you're sort of doing a live stream. So I wanted to, so 500,000, a lot of people to lose. So they'd have to cull the population by a lot to get to that point where it's under 500,000. But yeah, I mean, the Georgia Guidestones itself, it makes a lot of predictions. It makes a lot of things sort of it's a subject for another show. I've done a lot of sort of information. I would advise you to get Nostradamus's book. It's mind-blowing. It's very hard to understand. Like I said, it's all written in quatrains, which is like 4 lines. And if you don't read the specifics of each sort of line that comes out, you will get lost because they are very sort of... they seem vague at first, but if you sort of read the specifics, like I said, if you look at the specifics, because he uses these nouns and pronouns to sort of bolster up the line so that you read past the vagueness of it and you sort of get to a point where you sort of understand what he's talking about. But I want to get onto my predictions. I want to get onto my prophecies for 2022 and beyond. But first, we're going to have a little message from our sponsors. Now, don't forget, guys, if you are locked in via Patreon, all it is, you can pay either £1 a month or £3 a month to sponsor the show. We've got a lot of Patreons now, and I just want it to grow. I want it to get bigger. I'm going to bring you bigger and better things. We've got new things coming up in the future. Ben's going to be doing a demonology sort of overview if you want to learn about that sort of thing. So keep it locked. If you want to check out the Patreon, head over to www.patreon.com/The Other Dimension and just have a look at what we've got to offer on there. There's a lot of stuff to offer on there. And if you can sign up and support us, big up, thank you. If you're just watching this on a random, you've managed to get past the firewalls or I don't know, anything like that, thank you for locking in because it's you guys. I do it for you guys. So quick little announcement for our sponsors, and we're back on the other side with the predictions and the prophecies for the future.
Slate and Bone, the one-stop shop for all your slate art and bespoke paranormal crafts, with a full range of designs and one-off crafts. Why not treat that special someone? Visit now. Search Slate and Bone on Facebook, and listeners of the show get a special discount. So quote the other dimension when ordering. So once again, search Slate and Bone on Facebook and get yourself or someone something special.
Be Paranormal Equipment, the #1 place for all your paranormal gadgets, from RAM pods to laser alarms to SLS cameras, shipped straight to your door. Visit on Facebook. Just search for B.Paranormal Equipment and place your order. And listeners of The Other Dimension get a further 20% discount. Just let them know that you're a listener. So what are you waiting for?
And welcome back. We're on the other side. Thank you to everyone been listening in tonight. It's been fun. I know I'm on my own. I think Ben sort of set his alarm wrong and fell asleep, but I just didn't want to let you guys down. I wanted to come on live. I know it's boring listening to me jabber on about stuff, but if you are still there and you're not asleep, welcome to the second part, where we're going to be talking about my prophecies and predictions and what I base them on. A lot of it lays in conspiracy. I'll try to do that thing with my eyebrows, but I can't do it. A lot of it lays in conspiracy. You know, I'm heavily into conspiracy theories and, you know, tinfoil hat stuff. You know, the aliens are coming, nanu, peace and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it's based around Nostradamus and what we was talking about in the first half of the show. I mean, if you look at Nostradamus's predictions for 2022 and beyond, then they're not good. They're not good. We're talking like, you know, world destruction, and we're talking like craziness. I mean, but let's talk about my prediction of 2022 now, based on what's happening right now. I mean, COVID ain't going anywhere anytime soon. You know, it seems to be, I'm going to toe the line and go the new norm. It's the new norm, innit? You got to go out with a mask on. You got to have your vaccines. You got to have your stabby jabbies. But yeah, I mean, is COVID going away? My prediction, no. And that's just based on what's happening now. You know, we've had untold amounts of variants. It's like that joke that the guy tells on TikTok. He goes, three COVID variants walk into a bar, and they go up to the barman and said, 4 pints, please. 4 of your best beers, please, barman. And he turns around and goes, 4, but there's only 3 of you. He goes, yeah, there'll be another COVID variant along very shortly. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, that's it. It's going to happen, and we're looking at more variants. I mean, there has been leaked documents posted online that have been taken down now, and also that they link up with one of Nostradamus's prophecies, which I tried to find during the sponsors break. I can't find it. And it talks about a new string, a new variant called Omega. Omega being, I think, Alpha and Omega is like, you know, the opposites of the creation of the world. You know, Alpha and Omega, because we always have the alpha male, don't we, and the alpha female, and all these sort of things. And Omega being the all-seeing, the omnipotent, the omnipresent sort of thing. So they talk about this Omega variant of COVID. And they're quite specific with dates as well. You talk about August. They talk about in the beginning of August, this thing's going to hit in 2022, which is quite massive. It's supposed to be 5 times stronger than the first variant we're seeing now. If we base that, you know, the first variant is nothing compared to this Omicron variant. But yeah, my predictions, like that's definitely one of them. COVID ain't going away. I think it's, I know I don't want to toe the line and, you know, and say the new norm, because I find that quite, you know, I'm in Essex, like I'm from Essex, so we call that a muggy comment, you know. Oh yeah, I've got shouts out to Bonbon and Steve-O at Mum and Dad Locked In. Welcome along. Yeah, so I don't think COVID's going anywhere, but based on what's been happening recently, my predictions. There's a lot of talk about the NWO and the New World Order, right? And I know that I'm probably going to get some sort of, warning from YouTube, based on this. But at the end of the day, it's the final show of this year, and I wanted to sort of go all out and say how it is. Now, I believe in this NWO, this New World Order, one government, one police force, one health service, that controls the entire world. I mean, look what's happening in Australia at the moment. Them guys are on complete lockdown, and it's very hands-on, let's just say, based on the videos that I have seen. We're not at that stage here. I mean, if you look at China, the point-based scheme for the civilization over there, if you do something wrong, you lose points, and they take away civil liberties and stuff like that. I mean, I could be wrong here. It's what I've heard. I'm only going based on what I've heard. So if you YouTube fact checkers out there want to check me on that and tell me that I'm wrong, I'm cool with that. I'm just going on base what I've read and what I've heard. So I do believe in this New World Order. A little bit of out there prediction. Now, we do know back in December 2018, the US government released files saying that aliens are real. They changed the UFO phenomena to UAP, from unknown flying objects to unknown alien phenomena. Now, I think this has a big part to play in the future. I believe that we are very close to, based on Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, and what he writes in his books. He talks about Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. I think I spoke about it on last week's show, but the week before. He talks about making intelligent contact with aliens, extraterrestrials, interterrestrials, as I like to call them. Because I don't look at aliens in the sense of them being from another planet. I'm a strong believer in a dimensional theory. The fact that we are living on a plane of dimension. In a different dimension now, there could be someone else who looks like me talking about a completely different subject. I find it quite weird that anyone would stand there and look up at the stars, and it's almost like very narrow-minded to stand there and look up and see how much space there is out there, and just think that we're the only important only important thing, the only important ecosystem, the only important sort of civilization that matters. And it's the same with the spiritual world. You've got to look at things in a dimensional sense. Could there be different spirit planes? That there's been talk in occult books and sort of spiritual books for years and years of 5, 7, 9, 10 different planes. And it sort of makes sense. It sort of bolsters up for the pure fact of, if every person that died became a spirit, the world would be overpopulated massively by spirits, and there wouldn't be a chance for you to not see them. So there has to be different dimensional planes. I don't believe in heaven and hell per se. Viking belief is Valhalla and Hela, which is like heaven and hell, but it's more of a dimensional level more than, you've done good, you go here, you've done bad, you go here. With the Viking belief system, it's if you've battled and fought all your life and you've been a good warrior, you'll go and eat with your ancestors in the dining room at Valhalla, and become a Valkyrie to take on Fenrir and the can't remember what they're called now, but take them on in the final battle, or if you've not been a good human, you've not battled, you've sort of been a coward, you get sent to Hela. Now, I forgot what I was saying. Well, spirit world, yeah. So I look at it in a different dimension, but my prediction is I do believe this intelligent encounter with alien beings, extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, interterrestrials, whatever you want to call it. I do believe this is going to happen. Maybe not in 2022, but I do believe it's going to happen soon. I do believe it happened. There's been other predictions out there. People talking about holograms. I don't know if anyone's ever come across this. The talk of this hologram of this alien force coming down to take over the world, create panic. People sort of, it's a way of, like we was talking about, human colonization. Taking the population down and letting the humans sort of battle themselves out. It's what they do when they put all these labels and you're a millennial, or you're a Gen Z, or you're this or you're that, and it's to keep us fighting within ourselves so that we can control the population. That's what it's all about. You know, I mean, nothing's easier to control than a population that's scared. And as much as, you know, we can sit there and listen to conspiracy beliefs and conspiracy reasoning and these people that have all this evidence to back it up, that is a true fact. If someone who is scared, they're easier to control, aren't they? It's as simple as that. So, hold on a sec. So when we look at it in that sense, yeah, I do believe we're heading for, I wouldn't say extinction. I wouldn't go far as saying extinction. I think that's, I don't think you can, I don't think we could become extinct. We're too advanced. You know, I mean, look at the dinosaurs. They wasn't exactly advanced. I mean, a Tyrannosaurus Rex couldn't even put his hands in his pockets. They were so small. So, you know, imagine if you got cold hands, you know, as a Tyrannosaurus Rex, you wouldn't have nowhere to put them. You couldn't put them in your pockets, keep them warm, or couldn't throw or catch a ball or anything. So I think we're quite far more advanced. I don't think we're heading for extinction. I think we're heading for a natural disaster. Now, speaking to my mum just before I come on live tonight, because she was talking about Nostradamus, and she was talking about this giant asteroid that's going to hit the Earth, and I remember reading about it, and because you have comets that come along, your Halley's Comet and stuff like that. I don't know if that's due up this year. I'm sure it is. I can remember being small last time it come round, so I'm not sure if she was talking about Halley's Comet. But there was always been that prediction that asteroids going to hit the Earth, you know. Space debris constantly going past the Earth all the time, you know, burning up in our atmosphere or bouncing off and going out into space. You know, there's like thousands of craters on the moon that shows you how vulnerable the Earth is to, you know, flying rocks through space. So based on sort of that sort of evidence, I would go to the pure fact that we are heading towards a natural disaster, whether it's a tidal wave or a comet hitting the Earth, or I don't know, some sort of, you know, biochemical based things like COVID that we're getting now. I do believe that we're heading towards that disaster level. You know, we're going from like threat level 1 to threat level 5 over the next, let's say, 10 to 15 years. I know that Nostradamus predicted a food shortage at some point. I do see that happening. I mean, if the population, that's just based on sheer sort of just that, what's it called? It's based on like just based on what I've read and research, you know, if the population is doubling every single time and we're getting more and more sort of randy and making more and more babies, and we're struggling to keep the population sustained at this given point in time, it's only going to get worse, isn't it? So, you know, so yeah, based on that, I do believe that that's going to happen. I do believe they call it like sort of like starvation. There's a word for it. I mean, I can't remember what it's called now, but there is a word for it. I do believe that's going to happen. That's another prediction of mine. Let's do some good predictions. We've got about 5-10 minutes top whack before we go on to the next show. Oh no, we've only got 2 minutes, so let's do some good predictions. I believe the world is going to be more spiritually entwined. I do believe that the human population are opening their minds to the spiritual world. It's become more sort of acceptable, and I do believe that these sort of alternative ways of doing things, you know, meditation, mind over matter, you know, herbalist remedies, you know, we're now using THCs and CBDs to keep things sort of moving, you know. So oh god, shouts out to the spammers in the chat. Yeah, so I do believe like we're going to be more sort of like open to the pure fact that we are able to open our minds to other ways of healing ourselves. Let's just say the spiritual way of healing ourselves. I do believe that things go full circle, because circle being a circle is almost, it's the universal symbol, isn't it? You know, the circle itself is a universal symbol. So I do believe that that's going to play a massive part in everything. So yeah, I mean, guys, I'm in the last 30 seconds, so I hope you enjoyed the show. I know it's only been me on my own rambling on for the last 40 minutes, but you know, I mean, I really, really enjoyed talking to you guys. Don't forget, if you want to sign up to Patreon, head over to patreon.com/otherdimension. You get a bonus show every week, and you also get to listen to us live sort of behind the scenes sort of thing. Don't forget to check out the sponsors. Be Paranormal Equipment. If you're a listener to the show, you get 20% discount. Also, if you want to get any of your bespoke paranormal artwork, head over to Slate and Bone on Facebook, where you will let them know you're listening to the show and you will get a discount. But from me, Happy New Year to you all. I hope you get all your well wishes, and I hope you do really well with your New Year's resolutions. I'm out of here. I see you in 20 minutes over on pulsetalkradio.com, where we'll be doing the main show. Take care, guys. See you later. Oh, yeah.